Pretty Policeman, multiple Paradox Net files.
These are some of
The Little Darlings. It's great to be gay.
our favourite episode titles.
Right on, sister. Please be gentle.
From all 3 seasons of the logbooks.
You might well be very angry.
So we've printed them on a t-shirt and a poster.
Crash pad needed. Kiss my rump.
And our limited stock is for sale at thelogbooks.org.
Interested and willing?
With profits going to Switchboard.
Thank you for being here.
So take a look at thelogbooks.org/shop.
Oh, no. March 1974. Please do not lose. 505. Refer to CHELIC. Unable to give phone number of Surrey office. 526. Referred bisexual guy to talk things over. 535. Leather. Visitor from abroad.
You're listening to The Logbooks, untold stories from Britain's LGBTQ+ history, in partnership with Faber Books.
I'm Tash Walker.
And I'm Adam Zmith.
Since we finished making the Logbooks podcast in 2022, we've been writing a book published by Faber. It's called The Logbooks, and Adam's turned 40.
You too!
I don't look it though.
The book goes deeper into Switchboard's archive and other archives, and includes more stories from the 70s, 80s, 90s and noughties. 4 decades.
Listening to queer people's essential stories is always central to our work.
So in this season of the podcast, we want to share some of the interviews we conducted as research for our book.
Now you too can listen to all the amazing, powerfully queer storytellers we've listened to, in their own words, with their own voices.
Okay, Tash, here we go. We've got all these interviews to share. We're back with the podcast.
It's really nice, actually, Adam. Yeah. I love staring at your face.
And what have we got coming in this first episode back?
Well, it's a big one. We're starting off with a bang. We're going right back to the beginning of Switchboard, the missing piece of the puzzle, one of the founders of the organisation, John Lindsay.
Amazing. Oh, wow. Okay, this was a big coup that you found him.
It was. It's a great story. There was an exhibition on at the Barbican, which was curated in partnership with Bishopsgate Institute, and I'd worked on part of it with them. And I did a talk there about the history of Switchboard, and waiting outside of the talk, not in the talk, outside, to pick a bone with me was John. And I saw him waiting. He said, "Are you Tash?" I said, "Yes, I'm John Lindsay." And I knew who he was, right? So I was like, "Oh, wow, okay, hi." And he's like, "Hey, I've got something to say about the exhibition." I was like, "Oh, God, what have we done?" And he looked at me, furrowed brow, big, very great, like big grey beard, always wearing shorts, no matter what the weather. Even in snow, I saw him in shorts and sandals. And he said, "There's something wrong in the exhibition. In one of the notes that you've put under the Switchboard section, you said that it was London Gay Switchboard. And I need to tell you that is wrong. We worked really, really hard to make sure that Switchboard was Gay Switchboard, open to anyone wherever you were when they started back in 1974, so that they could put Switchboard under G for Gay Switchboard in the phone directory." Wow. And I absolutely loved it. I was being told off by one of the founders of Switchboard. Amazing.
That is amazing. And also testament to the fact that he worked as a librarian for so long. So it's like very knowledgeable about information, very precise about getting information right. So I'm really looking forward to listening to this interview.
Yeah, and things to listen out for, I suppose. It was amazing to speak to John. He is quite elderly in this interview, so his memory wasn't as sharp. But you have that librarian energy that comes from him. But yeah, he talks about the early days of Switchboard, and it was just amazing to be able to speak to someone who had been there, not a story that they had heard, but had been in that room. And like you say, he was a librarian, and what he really believed in, which is exactly what Switchboard started for, was the power of sharing information and how to record it as well. We actually recorded the interview at the Barbican. It took a long time for me to be able to get John to do an interview with me, but he was going to be in the library researching homosexuality in the Renaissance, so I thought I'd pop along.
Oh, so you're recording in like a public space in the
Literally.
Barbican with background and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of love that idea. Okay, let's listen.
Could you just introduce yourself and then also the times that you were at Switchboard, the years, if you remember?
Well, John Lindsay, and in 1973, Dennis Lemon came back from the United States and organised a meeting at the Boltons, and we were sitting around a couple of tables, so there must have been about 10 people there. I was on the office collective of the Gay Liberation Front, and we had the room in the basement of 5 Caledonian Road. And in October 73, we had trouble because a bunch of people from some other part of the GLF came and raided the place and took all the archives.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And interestingly, it actually has been written up in a book by one of the people who did it.
The raid.
And he spells my name wrongly in the index. But he has quoted a chunk of what because the GLF Office Collective produced a sort of newsletter type thing, which was very cheaply produced, whereas some other bit of it produced quite a posh magazine, the name of which I can't remember now. And Dennis Lemon was the editor of Gay News, and the Gay News archive is being built up quite well. And there are stories about Gay News. For example, David Widgery, who you might have heard of.
I recognise the name.
Yes, well, his family have produced a sort of collected volume of his essays, and there's something in that on Gay News. So finding the history of Gay News is itself a bit of a story that needs doing, because it was clearly quite influential.
Yeah.
Although what its influence was on the GLF Office Collective, I don't really have much. I don't think it was. I think we were politically more engaged. But in parallel with that, I was doing a PhD at University College. And we had a gay soc at UCL, and the UCL and then the University of London had a gay soc. And that must have had an impact on the university, because we did stuff and the police didn't stop us. So I haven't really succeeded in investigating this yet, but there must have been some political shift
Internally.
between the university authorities, because we're doing my PhD with the librarian of the university.
I see.
We were having conversations, and so somehow or other there were policy shifts inside the University of London which must have impacted on their discussions with the police and the behaviour of the police. And this got more and more later on, because the police, when we started having, I wasn't on the first march, I was on the 73 Pride.
Yeah.
So last month was my 50th Pride.
Wow.
And so I can remember those early things. Then the meeting in the Bolton, I now can't remember who all the people were. I can really only remember that there were that roughly number of people. And so Dennis put forward the idea of a switchboard because he'd seen something like it in the United States.
And a gay switchboard in the United States.
Yes, a gay switchboard. And I don't recall what he said or what was written up about how those US things were organised or how many of them there were. But I don't know whether it was me or not, because I don't know who else was there from the GLF Office Collective. But I suspect that Max McClellan must have been there, because somehow or other Houseman's offered the idea of switchboard a room. And where the office collective was in the basement, we got the room on the top floor. And the first thing I think we had to do was to negotiate with British. In those days, it was still part of the post office.
Okay.
And so it was the telephone part of the post office to get a telephone. And that meant we had to have the money to get the telephone. I can't remember how we did that.
You don't remember how you got the money?
I don't remember how we got the money, but we weren't paying a rent to Housemans.
Okay.
And the first diplomatic was getting gay Switchboard into the telephone directory. And that was, again, this, I don't think this, with what became an archive of British Telecom exists or not, I don't know.
Amazing to find that.
But it would be fascinating to find out how we negotiated getting gay Switchboard. And
so you look under G.
Yes. The word "gay" was the tub thumping word we were pushing. By that stage, 1973, the CHE had quite a lot of existence, and which bits of it existed where is debatable. Now, the first thing that I did, and I did this with a bloke called Ali Bucknell, and Ali Bucknell was a librarian in Tower Hamlets Library. So Tower Hamlets Library was already held, for example, a whole chunk of Genet's texts. So some public libraries were ahead of what other public libraries were doing. But in parallel with Switchboard, we also started the Gay Librarians group. So we had a parallel activity thread, and chartered librarians had an ethical obligation, so there was a real risk that we'd all get sacked because the Library Association was going to have to make a real shift. And understanding the history of what you might call the cultural, social, ethical obligations of an organisation that has a royal charter. And so when you're chartered, you have this royal charter. And so we were already pushing heavy bits of mud, heavy bits of ironstone. And then we have the professional organisation called the Library Association. And it was quite an expensive organisation to be a member of. But so you had to pay an annual fee. And in parallel, we also had trade unions. And because the day job was being a school librarian, I had all those ethical, social and cultural obligations as well. What did we do in a school library? And
God, how long did you do that for?
73 to 78 or 9. And shortly into it, I negotiated a project. The British Library had only just been formed. It had been taken away from the British Museum. And it had set up a research and development department. And I negotiated a research contract with the British Library in a school. Possibly it's the only research project there has ever been in a school. But I was in a sense cautiously making sure that I was researching a PhD. I had a research project. I had a chartered membership. I was working a full-time job in a school library. So all the things I was doing, if any one of that lot came for me, I would have quite a lot of defence mechanism to put together.
Adam and Tash here.
We wanted to tell you about our book.
It's called The Logbooks, Voices of Queer Britain and the Helpline That Listened.
And it's filled with more stories from Switchboard, our podcast contributors, other archives, and even the pair of us.
The Logbooks is published by Faber Books, and you can order it now at linktree.com/thelogbooks.
So in Switchboard, the first thing that I started doing was building up a catalogue so that when telephone calls came in, the people working on the telephone could look at this card index And
How did you go about doing
this is what I was going to explain. First of all, it was by going through gay news and picking up anything that was mentioned in gay news.
Yeah.
By that stage, there was a world directory called the Spartacus Guide, and the Spartacus Guide had a volume, and so you could have the volume on the shelf. And I can't remember when we went from one phone to two, because it took from that time in October through to the following March before we got started.
Yep.
Now the problem is that I then got my leg smashed by a motor car, and I was in hospital.
Oh my God.
Because I'd also been involved in the CHE theatre group.
Okay.
I was due to appear on stage as an actor, and instead I was in a bed in hospital with a smashed leg. And I've got a platinum plate in my leg still, 50 years ago.
What happened?
This is my platinum jubilee. I've been making that joke for a few months now. And so I don't know how things were pulled together. A couple of people came to see me periodically in hospital. And then when I came out, I was on crutches. And getting into Houseman's was really difficult because those stairs were a nightmare. But we somehow or other managed it. And I was certainly there the night we opened, and that was March 74.
4th of March.
Something like that, yes. So
you were there that night?
I was there that night. And there were not very many people there. There was only a small group of us.
Do you remember who else was there?
No, I can't remember, because how we organised the rota, so that for a while it was really only in the evening that we were open.
Yeah. I saw that. So it was you were open in the evenings for a bit, and then within a year it was 24 hours.
I can't remember the sequence, but in 76. I wrote this report on management and training. So by 76, there had to be a shift. And by that stage, the whole thing was up and running and working. So I pulled out at that point.
So 76 was when you left?
When I pulled out. And I pulled out because there was also a bit of a shift going on in the sense that some of the apparatchiks wanted to get Home Office funding.
I see.
And so they didn't want, and there were some quite challenging things, because when people phoned up and wanted to know where a cottage would be available, you could never tell whether that was in fact a police
person.
And so it was all contentious.
Because the raids were rife then.
Yes, and I don't remember how many women were involved, because during the time of the GLF Office Collective, there was a sort of women's breakaway. And someone like Nettie Pollard they had a festival recently.
I met Nettie.
For icebreakers.
That's I met her.
Yes, and so she would know something about her point of view. But her point of view is as eccentric as my point of view. And I think everyone has an eccentric point of view. Because we're all having to do things. From March 74, I can't remember how many nights I was doing. And I don't remember how long the nights were. At some point or other after that, it became an all-night thing, because we slept in.
Sleeping bags.
Yes, on that top floor with the phone. And so you didn't actually sleep. You were answering the telephone.
There were long shifts as well, John. I suppose. So they were like all night.
So it was all night, because you had to get there in the evening, and you couldn't leave until the morning because there was no public transport.
Right. Okay.
And so it was an all-night shift, and the card catalogues. At some point or other, there was a second phone, And at some point or other, there was more than one person. And
So it started one phone, one person.
to start with, but I think it happened quite quickly. And then with more than one person talking, we had to have these card catalogues so people could look through the cards. And so, and that was where I had the argument against the people who did that exhibition here in the Curve, that I bumped into you on the door over, because they were quite wrong about the idea that it was a London thing.
Yep.
The idea when I got involved in starting it was we had to have one number which was so widely publicised that anyone anywhere could get hold of that number. But other little groups did start doing their own thing
In regional.
in some sort of
It
form.
was Gay Switchboard when it started. It later became London Gay Switchboard.
No, it didn't ever become London Gay Switchboard.
So then it turned into London Lesbian and Gay Switchboard.
I think at some point or other
In the 90s, maybe?
the word lesbian got put into things a lot later.
Okay.
But it was
started.
it was Gay Switchboard, and it wasn't London Gay Switchboard. It was Gay Switchboard, and the phone number was 837. So it's amazing that after 50 years, I can remember the phone number. Because I didn't ever have to phone it. So
Do you remember what kind of the phone was? Was it that?
Oh, it was black. In those days, yes. It was a dial, a hand-lifted dial thing. And of course, I don't think we ever did any phoning.
Yeah.
So it was incoming calls, not outgoing calls.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't have been much of a phone bill.
Yeah.
I can't remember how we got. I presume the post office installed the phone. And whether there was some form of taxation, there must have been.
Something.
And I can't remember where.
Maybe.
Yes, I can't remember. And I can't remember where the money came from. But at some point or other, after 74, we started having a disco at the Prince Albert.
Okay.
And that's become the central station.
Yep.
And at some point or other, I think his name was Peck, a bloke made a film which involved dancing in the basement where we were having this disco.
Yep.
I wasn't particularly interested in dancing and disco stuff, so I don't have any memory of who chose the music, whether we had live playing or whether somebody was just putting records. All that. I don't know all of that. And the problem is that the people who I can remember are all dead. And so Ali Bucknell is dead. David Seligman is dead. He only died quite recently.
I didn't know he was dead.
Yes, he died quite recently. And he had a Facebook page for a while. So there might be an archive of his Facebook's page.
Okay.
Maximum.
I did email him maybe 2 years ago. And he replied, but he was very ill and said, please leave me be.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realise he died.
Max McClellan is dead. There might be some sort of archive at Houseman's who have something.
And they're just on their 60th project.
Yes, that's right, yes.
Did you ever take any calls when you were at Switchboard?
Oh, yes.
What was it like?
I can't remember.
Do you remember feeling like nervous?
I don't. I think I was.
job to do.
I'd had a job to do. It would, if you're a school librarian, you're accustomed to kind of in conversation with people, and so I don't. I mean, I took lots of calls, and I have no memory of.
One that I've been asking people is just to give me what Switchboard means to them in one word.
Who knows?
Or a sentence. For you.
Gay. It had to be about that. It wasn't about something different. And if somebody phoned with something else, then you'd batter that as best you could.
Oh, that was really nice listening to John, and so amazing that you got to speak to him. And I just loved how he answered your question, what's Switchboard in one word? And he's like, gay.
I know, I love it. It's like, say what you see. Gay.
It's just gay. Like, that's it. And I love it as well because it's also really interesting thinking about like the time, like that word, using that word at that time was like so powerful, so meaningful, and it still is now.
Yeah.
But we talk a lot about language being evolving and everything all the time, and so it's just interesting. It really takes us into that time as well when that word was like very concrete and very powerful and everything like that.
Yeah, totally. And actually, talking about time, I felt it feels quite emotional listening back to John now. John sadly died about a year after I interviewed him. So to think about, the world's aligning in that way, that I got to meet him and managed to record him. So it was August 24 that I recorded him, and Switchboard turned 50 in the following March. So he made it to Switchboard's 50th in shorts. Yeah. I think it was snowing outside at that time.
Always in shorts.
Always in shorts. But I went to his funeral, and there was an opportunity for people to share their memories of John, and no one had mentioned Switchboard.
Right.
So I felt like I had to. I wasn't planning to say anything, but I went up and I spoke to the people there, his loved ones, his friends and family. And I said that John believed in the power of information, which I think you hear that so strongly in that clip there. And that he was there the night that Switchboard took its first call. And in the year that he died, Switchboard took its 4 millionth call. Right. Just makes you think about literally the power of information.
Yeah.
What a legacy.
And what he did, and the other early co-founders of Switchboard, and just an incredible contribution that they've made. So it was really nice to hear John talk about all of that in the first episode back of the logbooks. And, as we said at the top, this is one of the many interviews that we've done for research for the book. And because the book is coming out, we are going to be taking it on the road, of course. We're going to be doing as many appearances in bookshops and festivals as we can. And we're also going to be doing a lot of what we call sharing days, which are going to be mini community events for queer people to come together to talk about their own stories, and also stories that we find or that they find in archives. So look out for that from Aunt Nell.
Yeah, definitely. Sort of like what John and I did, our different experiences of being at Switchboard across these years, what connects us. And speaking of missing pieces and puzzles, on the book, the Logbooks book, which you can see, Google it or look on our socials or on our website, on the front cover there is a picture of two people, and we haven't been able to locate the person on the right, who's called Helen. So if anyone recognises Helen, Helen, if you're listening, please get in touch. We'd love to be able to connect with Helen, at the very least to give her a book, and to hear more about what's happened to her since she was at Switchboard.
Yeah, that would be really great. And let us know what you think of how we're doing with the Logbooks podcast now that it's back. You can contact us via our website, which is auntnell.com. The Logbooks is an Aunt Nell production in partnership with Faber Books.
It is hosted and produced by Tash Walker and Adam Zmith.
The voice of the Logbooks is Serena James.
The assistant producer is Marnie Woodmeade.
Engineered by David Pye.
Music by Tom Foskett Barnes.
Original artwork by Natalie Doto.
Thanks to Steph Dickers and team at the Bishopsgate Institute.
Our publisher, Faber Books.
The dreamboats at Acast.
The staff and volunteers at Switchboard, and all the contributors who shared their stories.
Switchboard continues to take phone calls from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. If you're affected by any of the issues in this podcast, or need to discuss anything to do with your gender identity or sexuality, you can call Switchboard on 0800 0119 100. Email hello@switchboard.lgbt or instant message via switchboard.lgbt, where you can also donate money or time to help.